I'm Joe MacKay. I'm an open branch manager in Austin, Texas. I've been with the company a little over 5 years now. When I went to work for corporate, the corporate staff was 3 or 4, including Scott. What they've asked me to talk about is locking loans and how to handle it and what not to do and when to do it. And I want to start off with a story. Imagine for a minute that you had a realtor group that came to you and said, "You're our guy. We want you to handle all of our mortgages. And here's how we work. We're going to give you the basic application. And what we want you to do is we want you to put together an entire application package and overnight it out to our borrowers. We've already set them up for you, and they'll overnight it back, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get these loans done. And we're going to be able to bring you 6 to 8 of these things every day." So you start in, you're all excited, you got a pipeline of business, and you're putting 8 applications out through FedEx every day, and you're shipping them out. And it's now 2 weeks later, you've got 80 applications out there, and nothing's come back. Okay, so you pick up the phone and you start calling borrowers, and here's what you hear. "Well, Mr. MacKay, we've decided to go a different way," or "We've decided that we're not going to do this right now," or "We found another way to do it." You're going to be pretty hot at that realtor. You're going to call him and say, either you're incompetent or you're using me. Well, guess what? When you lock a loan that doesn't close, the investor thinks the same thing about you. So my message is, don't lock them until you can predict a closing date. The question you're going to bring up is, well, then how can I guarantee my client a rate? And the answer is, it's all in the expectation you set up for your customer. Here's how I handle it. Mr. Borrower, it's almost a joke in this industry that most borrowers think that when they get to the closing table, the rate's going to be different and the closing costs are going to be higher, and they're not going to be able to do anything about it because they're sitting there with a nice lady that can do one thing. She can witness their signature. Now, my clients don't go through that. Here's what we do. I'm going to quote you, qualify you, and submit you at a rate that is about 1/4 of a point higher than I expect you to have. If we were locking your loan today, which we're not, you'd have somewhere between 5.25% and 5.5% on a 30-year fixed rate. I'm going to submit you and not lock you, but submit you at 5.75. Here's why. The pressure on rates is up, not down. Rates right now are extremely volatile. I've seen as many as 5 rate increases in one day. And what I don't ever want to do, if I lock you at the cute, nice, sexy rate and it moves, well, we get to go back through underwriting and start all over. And you don't want to do that, and I sure don't want to do that. So if I've quoted you a rate and had you approved at 5.75 and it's time to do the loan and the rate is really 5.25, the underwriter's not going to have any difficulty with that. They're, "Oh, it's cheaper." Great, fine. So what I want you to understand is that while you're going to see 5.75 on here, that's not your rate. Once we have an approval on you, I'll start paying particular attention to rates with you in mind. And the idea is that as rates are volatile, they'll tick up, they'll tick down. Like today, we had a slight downtick, about 1/8 of a point. But when that happens, I'll grab that downtick for you. Now, it may be only 1/8 of a point, but it's 1/8 of a point for 30 years. Using that technique, I just don't have any rate issues. The other thing that it does is the borrower can't shop you because the rate he's got from you, you told him, is not his rate. It works. Just don't bust a lock. There's no reason to lock it until you know when it's going to close. Try it. It works. If I can help you, everybody knows how to get a hold of me. Thanks.